Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Depends on where you are in the world or when you are actually watching this. Welcome to Phantom Legacy discussion on Babylon 5 Season 3 Part 2. Right now, we do have four of the usual suspects. Unfortunately, Lord Krit is having some internet issues. He said he will try to join if he's able to, and we understand that. I mean, I was
Yes.
being regaled with Cash Money's little issues with technology. Speaking of which, though, I do have with me Mike from Pacific 414. He's joined us, as well as Akash Monet of the Phantom Booligans and Phil McCracken of Released McCracken and everybody's favorite troll. Gentlemen, good evening. How are you all?
Doing good, brother. Doing good.
Pretty good.
How are you?
Hanging in there. Hearing that Mike's got the 10 out of 10 for the new Kaiju Shakespeare, as I've been calling it, the Godzilla film. So
I loved it, man.
you loved it. Yeah. Did you get scared? Like
No,
Krit said. Oh, he was at the edge of the seat.
no, I didn't get scared. I couldn't wait to see Godzilla stop a few people.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what it's about. And there's in the sitting in our chat is of course Lord Krit. And yep, don't worry about it, buddy. Just if you're able to, come on in when you can. If you're able to, we like I said, we all know how technology is our friend. So just going to start off with saying hi to the president and sole member of the Phil McCracken fan club, Ms. Leah Rose. Hello. We have Brandy Looney Tunes 2000, Looney Tunes fan 2000. There we go. And of course, as I said, Lord Krit of Everest Production. Gentlemen, barring anything else, might as well let's just jump right on in, huh? Let's have a little bit of fun here. So the first episode, okay, and we're kind of probably going to breeze through the first couple of them because, like this episode, Exogenesis, I consider this episode kind of episode that was more of an introduction, a little bit more to Marcus Cole to get us more used to him, give him a chance to show us acting chops, Jason Carter, who I think actually that would be a great name to have for a character.
Yeah, I mean, this episode, I understand what J. Michael Straczynski was trying to do, give us a chance to get to know this new character, but I also consider this episode a throwaway episode.
Yeah, very much so. In fact, give it there. Basically, in this episode, you have Marcus and Dr. Franklin are finding that there's some sort of parasitic aliens coming into the station and taking over people. And Ivanova, basically, our dear Corwin, who's on the Babylon 5 CNC, is promoted. And Ivanova wants to see if he would be a good person to join into the conspiracy. And of course, hilarity ensues because of that. And we also have a guest starring voice appearance of a Sean Connery sound-alike in the beginning of the movie, or the show, I should say. So, and as you can see here, we have the flowers. There is a gentleman right there that's on board the station that good old Marcus is kind of knows. I believe it's Duncan.
Yep.
And he quotes from the play to him because you don't want to sit back and call it the Scottish play because of people's superstition in there. But it kind of revolves around him. He's kind of in a hard luck situation and such, not in the healthiest type of condition, and needless to say, but there's a kindred friendship between those two. And as well, like I said earlier, good old Sheridan is promoting Corwin to the position, and it's up to Ivanova. Boy, this is not working for me. There we go. Ivanova to feel him out to see what's going on there. By doing so, he thinks she's asking him out for a date because she wants to take him to her cabin, her quarters, instead of like their restaurants or the Oh, Earhart's, which is the pilot's lounge, whatever. She says, oh, we don't want to have all those clinking noises and such like that. Let us, let's go in my quarters and we can talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you have Ivanova talking that way to you and being nice, what you gonna do?
You're gonna follow her orders and show up at her quarters. Yes, I intended that for. I intended for that.
Oh, I see how you. Yeah, very good.
Or shivvy me timbers.
Yep.
What we see here, of course, is the people who are infected by this parasite that's going through the station. And are we facing an invasion of the body snatchers on board here? And even Duncan, friend of Marcus, seems to have been possessed as well. Going through, actually, they start discovering that these parasites are not unlike the Trill from Babylon 5. And they actually share experiences back and forth. In fact, these alien life forms have been around for about, about 500,000 years? And did I say hi to DJ Ronnie G? I hope I did. I'm trying to think.
You just did.
DJ Ronnie G.
And his turtles.
Nerd.
Colored t-shirt.
DJ Ronnie G Ninja Turtles.
Turtle powers.
I was coming up with that on the spot.
But we find out that this is a symbiotic relationship, but one of the sad things is Duncan had to let his symbiote, for lack of a better word, detach from him to prove that they're not a threat, that these creatures cannot survive on their own, but they seek out people who are down their luck, might not be going to be living that long.
Right.
To share the experiences. In fact, the quote that they had is not too dissimilar from Roy Batty's from Blade Runner, and it says it says we were created 500,000 years ago, bred to be living records of all those we have seen and touched. For all that time, we have traveled through the galaxy in our host bodies. We have seen double sunsets on worlds so far away, you have no names for them. We remember music that was played before your kind learned to speak. Within us is the living memory, deeds and stories, civilizations and passions, wars and struggles, great beauty. But in time, even we die unless we find shelter within other living beings. So we seek out those who have nothing to look forward to, whose lives are at an end, those who know they will never more, they will be never more than they are now. Those who will never know beauty or peace or purpose. And we give them that. Through us, they are born to a new life. Now, it's kind of, the beings themselves, which are, they're different than the Trill, obviously, in that aspect. But what an interesting concept that I wish they would have played with a little bit more, or not been used in a throwaway episode like this.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But those parasites need to stay away from us.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll take one. What the heck?
It would have been interesting if they had introduced them later on in the season, and those creatures hadn't encountered the shadows before.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, what could they tell about, as an ally against the shadows in that? Yeah. I think, I think it was one of those rare wastes that J. Michael Straczynski had in a show. And, oh, look, flowers. Who could have brought flowers? I think that was Corwin. And, of course, she's filling Corwin out. And she gets, oh, there we go, another possessed guy. She follows him out, and he expresses his loyalty to Earth, which makes her suspicious that he is not able to be brought into their little conspiracy. The flowers that she had before, though, were from Marcus, and when he brings, when good old Corwin brings his flowers, she's making all these derogatory not necessarily derogatory, but flippant comments about the flowers, and he's like, okay, what do we get rid of these?
Yeah.
That poor guy.
Yeah, because
Poor guy.
she pretty much says that she's not really much of a flower person.
No.
That's right.
And I'd be surprised. Hey, look, Stuart Pankton. No.
Well, yeah. Well, he was very awkward
discount-
about the
Discount
situation.
Jason Alexander.
Yeah.
He thought he might be attracted to her and stuff, but who wouldn't be attracted to Ivanova? I mean, I think a
Well,
lot
yeah,
of
he
people
wasn't,
would
yeah.
be. That's right.
Especially when we saw her
But-
doing sex in the other episode. I mean, that sex
but
scene was
he's
so hot.
you can understand him being awkward about the situation, and from what I
Mhm.
remember. hmm
Well,
Yeah,
she's his
DJ's right.
superior too.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Good old Michael Garibaldi. I miss him.
Yes.
So, like I said, we're just going to brush through this one, being that it's really not, like we said before, it's a throwaway episode for the series. So, any thoughts or any, pluses, minuses? Something that stood out?
Again, with the symbionts, I really think they could have introduced them later, and maybe they had some secret knowledge about the shadows that Sheridan and the crew of Babylon 5 could have used to their advantage,
Mm-hmm.
even if it meant implementing it on the White Star.
Right. I mean, what better? What better way to have for a weapon of going against the shadows is having some being that has such knowledge about the past.
It would help, but once again, the whole parasite thing is like, it's interesting, but it's also scary too. But
Mhm.
I mean, if they want it, and they go on people who don't have any hope or
Mhm.
really much of a life at all, I guess. It would be it's pretty interesting, but I think the superior of the subordinate or whatever of Ivanova, his character still intrigues me because he can be awkward because he's just not sure always about situations, and he's not always sure what he read, and it seems like he knows what he's doing, and then he's not sure. I noticed that. Yeah.
Well, that's because he's still wet behind the ears. He's not a seasoned
Exactly.
officer
Right.
like Sheridan and Ivanova and
True.
Garibaldi.
I agree with that.
Right. Are you trying to say that this is Paul, Master Paul on Babylon 5?
I didn't say it. You did. I mean,
Hey, I mean, it's not insulting to be compared to Corwin. He's a great character. He's a
no,
great guy,
that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Good point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There we go. And of course, these parasites go for, people like trolls, like Phil McCracken. I mean, he'd be the first one they go for. And of course, then Phil would be giving them all his knowledge and they'd explode.
If I had a parasite in me, Baron, it would be a gold. And then I would devour you.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
So, no.
I put an apple in your mouth and then roast you. There you go.
In that order.
So no Trill, no Symbiote. It's the gold. Okay. I suppose that's the appropriate parasite or symbiont to have.
Now you got the actor, Mr. Boyle here, Mr. Garibaldi. You can even say a little bit more, just a little bit more hair loss. More Bruce Willis every time I look at him. More Bruce Willis. Cheap man Bruce Willis.
Well, yeah, I mean that's just it. We saw him age through this show. From the first movie to even here, it's like, wow. It's like he's aging. He's aging.
Well,
but he's still a great character.
Yes.
Oh, oranges on Babylon 5 and onions. I bet you that costs a lot of money. There we go. Come to my quarters, young Corwin. Yes, ma'am. It's like, especially when Ivana was looking like that for once at you.
Could her lipstick be any more redder?
That's not lipstick. That's blood.
That's blood, huh? Okay.
It's Ivanova.
I mean, look how nervous he is because one, she's looking at him. Two, she's talking to him. And like I said, he's still wet behind the ears.
And three, she's being nice.
Yes.
Yeah, she's not usually nice. She's usually blunt.
She's not that way in C&C. It's like, okay, what do you do with Ivanova, and who are you? You know,
Maybe she had a parasite.
Maybe.
I don't think so.
There we go. I think we should expand that a little bit more. Oh, and here we're, of course, we've seen the parasite situation. Dr. Marcus looking into a little bit more. So yeah, pretty much into this one. I'm just see if we can.
Oh, good. We're gonna get to
good
old
Marcus.
Marcus.
A couple pictures back to the Asian guy.
What? Huh?
Go back to the Asian guy. Keep going.
What?
Go back.
Okay.
What? Go back. Go back.
What?
I'm going.
No,
I'm going.
right there. Right there. Right
Okay,
there.
come
right
on, more.
there.
Him. This guy right here.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
It's awful funny that he later on goes to Stargate SG-1 show and also has a parasite living inside him. You know, he has to tell his agent, really, another acting job where I play a parasite inside me?
No, what it is the parasite inside of him has got the agent, and they can only take roles. I'm surprised he didn't get a job on DS9 to play a Trill. Because parasite jobs out there in Hollywood are not easy to come by at all.
Sure.
Nope.
And there's the lady there's a cheap knockoff of
Deanna Troy.
Yeah, Deanna Troy. There's a cheap knockoff right there.
Wow,
I think she's better.
To her.
Yeah. Don't compare her to Marina Sirtis, please. I think she looks a lot better.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get here. They have so many pictures. 62. Yeah, there's one of the guys. Of course, they witnessed
that's
that
the
happen.
first victim.
Yeah, they were taking them, and
But as it goes down,
that picture right there, the parasite looks awful familiar of the Star Trek, the Wrath of Khan coming out of the year.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure there could have been some inspiration for that. Sure.
Yeah, the only thing I don't think that you don't get a parasite officially is in Star Wars, but every other one,
you did in the Clone Wars. Oh,
they get a parasite.
Well, they have those worms that went into people's and turn them into like zombies.
Oh yes, that's right.
There
we go. Well, they all have them now.
Yep. Everybody's got a parasite.
You get a parasite.
You get a parasite. Yeah.
Okay. We have nothing more for this episode. We will move on to the next one. That episode is called Messages of Earth. And this is starting to get into a little bit of the crux. You might say it starts kind of getting into the trilogy that's coming up of episodes, kind of a prequel to it. And basically what happens here is the Senate is investigating El Presidente Clark, who I am, by the way. And there's an archaeologist that comes and brings news about something strange on Mars. And our lovely Night Watch is tightening its grasp even more and more on the civilian population, telling them what to do and what to say. And what to be. In other words,
what to do, what to say, what to think.
Exactly. They have their newspeak. Everything as they're going through there, it's like it doesn't take much to figure out that J. Michael Straczynski was basing it on George Orwell's works, and even with some of the names. So in doing so, they happen to find that there is a shadow ship on Mars. What's it doing there? What is it about? And what can they do to get rid of it? And, of course, what do we do about President Clark? And what do we do about Night Watch? And, of course, Jason Carter and Claudia Christian there, her in civilian outfit. Kind of unique seeing her without her hair all done up. Looks really nice. Marcus showing off stuff. No. There we go. The Night Watch. And that's one of the things also we have, of course, the head Night Watch guy there. But you have,
Zach.
Zach Zach Allen. Where is his loyalties going to be? Is it going to be with Night Watch? Or is it going to be with the people on Babylon 5? People he's come to know and basically trust, save lives.
You find out Night Watch is just, of course, we'll say minions for the president. No good. I remember that. Yeah, it's like that guy's a jackass. No, but no, he was actually. I'm not.
Yeah, he was.
He was
an absolute prick. Absolute prick.
But this is, of course, we got to find out what's going on, keeping an eye on them. Start bringing up that martial law basically on Babylon 5. And what are they doing? Who are they? What are they causing problems? Because as we know, the president, well, yeah, he's another jackass. So,
One of the also other things that we've discovered too with this, moving on to with the Shadow, is that it takes a living being to be plugged into the Shadow ship for it to work.
Right. Yeah.
And which of course makes people wonder, is the Vorlon ship the same way? Which I don't think so. The Vorlons, the Vorlons and their ship have a little bit of a symbiotic relationship there. So I would say no.
Well, as we know, I mean, we're not there yet, but what happens with the Vorlons? You're like, what? Oh, crap.
Oh, yeah, everything. Yep. And, of course, what was that shadow ship on Mars on Ganymede? This is 1,000 years ago in our system. Were we involved somehow 1,000 years ago in the war? Or were we just like an outer base for them to be in for future incursions, you might say? So we got a lot of questions on that one. And when it comes around to also the Night Watch, well, I mean, you have the eternal vigilance is the price of freedom, which is from Thomas Jefferson. And with that, you are finding out that you're not having eternal vigilance no more. You're relying too much, especially on these, well, in this case, gray shirts. And I want to thank, I also want to say hi to Andre from Wish, Jace Fox from 540 Studios. There he is. Welcome on board. We won't shoot him out of the.
How's it going, Jace?
What's up, Jace?
Yeah, we won't shoot him out of the airlock on this one.
No. We'll do it another time. It's all right.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. So, of course, Sheridan's got a lot to ponder about all that. But now, what do? Let's, good old Sheridan gets out of uniform because what he's doing is not going to be part of Earth Force, and they take a White Star for a trip.
Yep.
And they travel to the
solar system.
Oh, look, it's the Agamemnon. It's Sheridan's old ship itself. And they happen to go shadow hunting. Be very, very quiet. We're hunting shadows. Which they're able to defeat just because of the weakness of the shadows. They come to the conclusion. But still.
You sure they didn't find a Borg ship in Jupiter's atmosphere? Oh, wait, that's another show that we don't discuss.
No. How many I'm sorry's did you hear in this show? How many I'm sorry's?
I'm sorry.
And there's the facility that the shadow ship was in. This is making this taking off and trying to go home. She should have had her hair done more often. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah,
that might be against regulations.
I don't care about regulations. This is Babylon 5, doggone it.
It's regulations.
Yeah,
we're rebels here. We're rebels here.
You can't be a rebel in Minnesota.
Oh, you can try. Of course.
I did like this scene because Sheridan's talking about how he's having difficulty sleeping on the bed on the White Star.
Right.
And he talks about how his father used to take the garden hose and spray water on the roof so Sheridan
Yes.
could sleep.
So Sheridan can sleep. Right. I remember that now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I got an app for that.
Yeah, because Sheridan likes the sound of rain or something. If I remember something like it. Yes, sound of water.
That's
So-
relaxing.
So Delin tells the computer to give them the sound of rain hitting a rooftop, and
Mm-hmm. And plus, they're sleeping an odd way because they sleep more standing up because they feel that if you sleep on your back, that's being dead.
Yeah, I don't know. I know
Mhm.
that's good for the Minbari, but
Mhm.
yeah, not for humans. I don't think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we're getting a little. Yeah, there we go. There's the beds. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I could sleep on that.
I don't know if I could sleep on that. Maybe.
I
Depends how
don't know.
tired I
I
am.
don't know. I'd have to try it first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could sleep reclined, but not fully that way. I'd slip off, which I think he did a few times.
Yeah, he did, because there's one part where he's trying to pull himself back up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think there's one way he was trying to get the bed so it would be flat and try to tuck it under so it wouldn't move, but it still moved the other way. Those little things. So we got that victory here, but now we still got, what do we do about Night Watch? Night Watch is just being an ever more problem and thorn in the side of our
They're
esteemed
being
heroes.
nosy
Yeah.
busybodies.
Yes, they are. They are.
Well, where's the captain?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's going on? What's going on here? You know,
And it's like, Zach, are you going to play ball with us? It's like, I
Mhm.
don't know if I want to anymore.
Pick a side,
Mhm.
Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And actually, this episode's actually get tied in with the DC Comics issue number 8 that they had. It was called Silent Enemies, and that's where Garibaldi witnessed and recovered a Psychor badge from the site. So it looks like there was another shadow ship apparently in cooperation with Earth. So this wasn't the only one. So it looks like Earth is kind of taking sides with the shadow, at least President Clark is. And that happened about 7 years before this episode.
Wow.
Yeah, even with the comics, they try to keep everything tight together. Everything tight together. Yeah, if you can find the Babylon 5 comics, they're really, really good. They really are.
They wanted to keep everything cohesive.
Well,
Mhm.
wasn't
Everything
it?
flowing.
Was it? Because sometimes it's the opposite way. Was it the comics came first before the show, or was it the show
No,
came
the
first
show.
and then the comic?
The show came first. Yeah, the comics came out about the time the second season came.
Interesting.
And the first issues, they kind of discussed what happened with Sinclair going to with the Minbari and plots that are being done there. And then they had some other stories as it went along. The first issue was actually written by JMS. He left in a huff because they changed bastards to devils when he was doing the recreation of the final battle over Earth, where Sinclair basically says I'm taking you bastards with me. DC went with you devils with me because of course the comic code. He didn't like that. They changed it, so he let Peter David finish the rest of that 4-part issue.
Mm-hmm. Those things.
Yeah.
But you better believe he told Peter David this is what needs to happen.
Oh yeah, Peter David's been very, very loyal and to the spirit of Babylon 5. 2 episodes he wrote, and of course several books, and of course the comics. But the tension is happening. The screws are starting to get tightened. It's like Sheridan's even wanting to know, should I stay in Earth Force? Is this even worth it?
Yeah, he's questioning it.
Mm-hmm. Especially with guys like this.
Yes.
You gotta like Zach.
Yeah, Zach's a quality character for sure.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts, any comments that you have on this particular episode? Oh, Mira Furlan, we miss you.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman.
Yep, and there's the Psychor badge that Garibaldi found.
This starts setting up a few more things that we see in the next few episodes.
Not just the next few episodes, into the next season. I mean, it's.
I wasn't going to get that far yet.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, this kicks open doors. It's not necessarily a throwaway episode. It's important, but yeah, it's
a setup.
It's a setup. Yeah, it's a prequel. Yeah. She looks like she should be on SG-1.
Maybe
Right,
she
yes,
was.
She looks like a twin to Samantha Carter.
That's what I said. That's what I meant. Okay, and there we go. That's the shadow ship on Mars.
Ugh, creepy.
Mm-hmm. You want to fly around it. And the interesting thing is Mars is right now currently partially terraformed. So they don't have to go out there with the full-fledged spacesuits, but they still need to have the masks and such because they don't have the atmosphere to breathe. No. Mars on her lips, Mars on her mind. Oh, and who's this? Sitting in jail. Jakar.
Yeah.
Who
Great
wants to
character.
remind you that it's sacrilege to translate the Book of Jaquan.
Oh.
Not only that, he's been getting a few complaints about his singing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's a good singer. And while he's at it, he's writing the Book of Jakar.
What an
And there's
awesome chin he has. He has an awesome chin.
Mm-hmm. That is, not as awesome as Cash, but that's an awesome chin.
Well, you've got to love the dynamic between, Katsoulis and Doyle here.
Mm-hmm.
They just have good chemistry together when they're on screen.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, when Jerry Doyle got kicked out of his house, he stayed with Andreas Katsoulis for a while. He's talking about how cheap Andreas Katsoulis is. He was a tightwad. Oh, it's like if you have Scrooge McDuck as a narn, Scrooge McNarn. That's what he was.
That's because he's a non.
Mm-hmm.
He's a non.
It's like Jerry Doyle bought like a ham from Kroger's and came home and he called him Andy. And Andy came home. He said, "Do you have the receipt still? You know that you get a special deal and it's all that. Where's your receipt?" And he's digging through the garbage and outside trying to find the receipt. Over, as Jerry Doyle said, this crappy ham. It's a Kroger's crappy ham. So even in real life, this man was a character. And look at the emotion he can put through all that makeup.
Mm-hmm. That's the sign of a great actor when they can still emote through all that rubber and latex. And
Yep, very true.
What do we got here? It's Narn. It's Jakar writing the Book of Jakar.
Yeah.
And this is where really the character really starts turning. I mean, from what we saw with the first season, and we see him now, humbled, kicked down a few flight of stairs. He's not not that what we assume to be the big monster, meanie bad guy of the series.
Nope.
Right.
What growth these characters have in the show.
Yes.
I mean, some people remain kind of a constant, like Garibaldi and such, but Londo and Jakar, oh my, what a turn both those characters make in there.
Yeah, exactly how they start and how they finish in the series. It's wonderful.
It's believable. It's realistic.
Yes.
It's life. There is the beautiful Claudia Christian again. Still is beautiful. And there's Stargate SG-1. So I guess it's Babylon SG-5. Here we go. And Ivanova with her one-ear ring. We do discover what that is later on, why she has only the one-ear ring. Oh, is this the prank? Was this the prank? I can't remember if this episode had that prank. Where she falls asleep and they make it look like she fell asleep. They change everything on their plates to make it look like they already ate.
Oh, maybe.
I can't remember if this is the episode they had that or not, but that was great. And of course, you can find this in the complete third season of Babylon 5 DVD, and of course, the upcoming Blu-ray.
Yeah, the
Right.
Blu-ray release, I believe it comes out next week.
Oh yeah,
What is that? That's going to be about what, $80 to $100 or something?
$100.
yeah, something like that. Mhm.
$100.
Mm-hmm. And of course, one of the other things too is you see that Sheridan is willing to take a beating from the Agamemnon because he does not want to shoot on his former ship and his former crew.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that
He's willing to Rambo it, Baron. He's willing to Rambo it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a man. He learned from you because he's in the future. So he took a look at the books of Pop Doc and read the battle strategies of Doc Pop. And
go in there. Don't worry about the consequences.
Any last thoughts on this particular episode?
Great episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a semi filler, but not quite a filler, a prequel. Yeah, I mean, definite. You don't have to watch it, but it really helps flesh out what's going on.
Yeah.
What stories like this?
Unlike the previous episode that really did feel like a filler episode, this one actually puts a few more chips in motion.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure JMS felt like he really needed to introduce Marcus to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Marcus is
And
a
of course,
really interesting character. So
and his relationship with Doctor
with Ivanova, yeah, and
Well,
Steven.
Ivanova and
the
Steven,
friendship grows. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what a great character. Okay, anything else, gentlemen? Going.
I'm getting a 4 out of 5.
Oh, are we doing ratings? Should we do ratings? Yeah, 4 out of 5 for this one too.
So.
Yeah, if you want to do a rating, go rate it. I mean, Exogenesis, I'd give about 3.5 because it's a good episode.
It's a 3.
Yeah, it's a good episode. You can sit and watch it. It's not tricky. You don't feel like you were cheated when you saw it. This episode, you only come back and go, okay, what are we getting here? What's going to happen next?
This is where that started when you rewatch it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So this is it. This is probably one of the big wallop stories of the whole season, both on and off screen, because a giant appears on this show. Something that caused a rift between fan bases and even production houses. A certain lady was kind of had noses turned up at her for daring guest star on this episode, the episode called Point of No Return. And basically, we are looking at the fact that the Earth Alliance is basically going right into Civil War.
Yeah, it's falling apart at the seams.
Right. You have the colonies starting to, you have Mars, everything's crumbling. It's even threatened the command structure of Zach 5. Zach's loyalties are really put into the test with Night Watch, because Night Watch is Night Court, is basically given the okay to take over station security, which means it's one step away from taking over the full station. And more importantly, Londo is visited by one of the Emperor's widows in here. And Lady Morella. And one of the things about Centauri women is these brides are usually one, telepaths, and in her case, she can even to a point see into the future or predict a possible futures out there. So she has come to Babylon 5 with basically an important message. That person, of course,
and she's not looking for Jean-Luc.
No, and she doesn't have a tall butler or
handler.
Handler. There we go. And of course we have Via, that moon-faced assassin of joy, and of course, look how excited she's coming to see him. She's coming to see me. What could this be? What could this be? Is sharing a laugh? Not sharing a laugh. And of course, what we have also is we have the situation that we have Narn all over the station. The Narn refugee situation, there's trouble because of it on there for one reason or another, especially with Centauri. But what are we going to do about the Narn, particularly Jakar?
That's what happens when Cash's family comes to visit.
Yeah, this is a family reunion. Family reunion. This is what happens when they get kicked out of California. And there she is.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And notice the
And
Narn.
don't he have
Whoops.
an awesome chin?
Yeah, and notice they are now appointed security on board Babylon 5
Mm-hmm.
because of everything. But look who is. It's Lady Morella. I mean, Nurse Chapel. I mean, number one. I mean,
Lwaxana Troy.
Mhm.
Majel Bart.
The computer.
Basically,
Yes.
the computer coming on board the show. Basically, it was kind of a show of, as she was sitting back saying, Gene Roddenberry would approve because he thought there was more science fiction out there than just Star Trek. There was more worlds to explore
definitely.
than just Star Trek.
But that's not how the heads of Paramount and those that were in power at Star Trek at the time viewed it. It's like, wait a minute, you crossed a line.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, Patricia Tallman made it known because she was working on both series at the time herself as stunt and stand-in stunt and even just background characters. And she made sure she was keeping it quiet that she was still working on Babylon 5, but she would joke that members of the TNG cast would come by almost very conspiratorially go, "Hey, I saw you on Babylon 5. You did great the other day. Move along." We didn't talk.
We don't speak of this.
Yeah, we don't speak of it, but I just had to tell you did a good job on there. You did a great job. So
great.
we have, of course, with Narna security. Can you imagine how poor Lady Morella? Of course, this happens later on in the episode when everything is hitting the fan. And revelations are made to both Jakar and Londo. And from her, she gets a prediction for both of them.
Saying that they're both going to be emperor.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Veer laughs because he thinks it's a joke, and she makes it known, "I don't joke."
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he says he takes over after Londo. And of course, we all know that assassination is a fun game they play in Centauri politics. So it kind of makes things a little uneasy between Veer and Londo for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But very serious, very stoic. I mean, wonderful performance by Majel Barrett. Yeah, wonderful. And now she's just the custom states also that the spirit of the emperor lives on in her, the consort, and she speaks for both herself and her late husband. So having that is a big honor, plus being told that you're going to become emperor, and so are you, Veer. It's like, well, how's that going to happen? We're going to have to find out now, won't it? Only one way to do it. One has to die for the other to take over.
Mm-hmm.
She also tells Londo that he has passed up 2 chances to avoid the destiny that befalls him. There will be 3 more. He must save the eye that does not see. He must not kill the one who is already dead. And failing those, at the last, he must surrender himself to his greatest fear, knowing it will destroy him. So, yeah, it's kind of a heavy weight that our fun-loving Londo is getting there. And
I was just saying, yep.
Mm-hmm. So, any other thoughts? Because now we're seeing that the war is going on. We have we have, of course, the Night Watch trying to flex their muscles. We have the Narn becoming de facto security under a good old Garibaldi. And we have good old, shall we say, Earth not liking the fact that they might lose Babylon 5. Because no matter what, it's still a symbol. It's still a symbol, and they just can't let that symbol go.
No, it's supposed to be a symbol of peace, a symbol of hope.
Mm-hmm. And especially with all the different alien races coming together, kind of a mini United Nations in space.
Exactly.
Any thoughts from you gentlemen on anything about this episode? Because again, this is a pretty big one.
Sure.
Well, that sounded
Well, not sure about that.
Yeah,
no, right? Not sure about that. No,
Fullerton here soon.
That's right,
so
Fullerton.
Control Live is going to be on
sure.
soon, and I got to be there too. So.
No, I remember the fortune teller. I mean, she's a fortune teller and telling about. I just also enjoyed Veer's relationship with Londo, their friendship, and what Londo would later do for Veer, and how much he cares about him and doesn't always want him in certain areas, but when he's on Babylon 5 or but Veer, yeah, I know Veer, probably thinks it's funny, but yeah, the fortune teller is telling these things, and it's probably worrying Londo, and it's just funny to see the woman who's from TNG and the computer, and they move around to different shows, different sci-fi shows. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And
I am going to make a comment. If you look at this and all of the season 3, you start to marvel at the quality of the show. And what I mean the quality of the show, costumes are better. Cameras are very more clearer and updated than season 1. The CGI is a lot better. And like I said, on this episode, I think this is the high mark of the costume department. All the costumes are, even starting with season 3, but as you keep going in, is 10 times better than what you got in season 2, and 100 times better than what we got in season 1. And looking out, and looking at what's going into Babylon 5 in season 3, you start seeing new people. All right. And what I mean by new people, you start seeing people that normally aren't a regular on sci-fi shows appearing on Babylon 5. So, and that's something that you'll notice on all sci-fi. Like I said, I pointed out last episode that the guy was in Stargate SG-1. Right. And when you start seeing actors, temporary actors, guest appearing actors, start taking roles, and even though it might be for 1 episode or 2 episodes, and you can identify them from other ones, that they're starting to pull in. Yes, they're not permanent, but good quality actors, even for guest appearances.
So. Well, I mean, you already had some with the first 2 seasons, some high class actors. I mean, you had David McCallum in the first season. You had, of course, Michael and Sarah in there. You had David Warner already in the show in the first season. Michael and Sarah in the second season. So I mean, you have some good stalwarts right there. But yeah, now and of course you have the crossing over of Majel Barrett from another major science fiction outlet.
Exactly. When you have people like Majel Barrett and Walter Koenig coming on to Babylon 5, that's pretty monumental for a series like Babylon 5 to get 2 well-known Star Trek actors.
Yeah, and when it comes around to Koenig, what did he have to lose? Basically, at this point, Star Trek is basically over for him. But you had the lady of Star Trek herself going over there. That's where that sense of betrayal comes in, that Paramount seemed to feel that they should have.
I know. I remember back in the day when they kept the things like in the TV guide, rumor mills, and all about when she appeared on here, and how Paramount, didn't officially, but other channels weren't too thrilled. But let's just say she knew Gene Roddenberry. And let's just say, she still was working to help out Star Trek. But she wasn't happy at the time with the direction Star Trek was going. And that's a known fact. She was not happy. So it doesn't surprise me that she shows up on that's not called a Star Trek-ish show like Babylon 5, but to all intents and purposes was supposed to be a Star Trek show.
Look at it this way too. You don't see her on any Star Trek series after season 2 of DS9.
Nope.
You hear her still doing the voice of the main computer.
And I think she was a little bit upset also on how they treated, I'm not sure if it was one of her sons or both her sons by Gene Roddenberry, and their input into Star Trek. So,
I think she only had one son. That's Gene. Or Eugene, or whatever his name.
The one son I know for a fact that his dad wanted him to take a role in Star Trek, like being a director, doing shows, even if it was just like a couple episodes. And Paramount was, after Gene Roddenberry died, kind of pushing the family. All right, now it's time to get you out of the way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they went after Lincoln Enterprises. That was Gene Roddenberry and Majel Barrett's little company that they sold Star Trek memorabilia with.
So, it was, like I said, back then we didn't have the internet. Relied on magazines. Some stuff comes through down the grapevine. TV Guide would do little things on rumors. But, I just remember
we didn't have the internet at this time.
No.
Yeah, we were. I was tuned in to Lurker's Guide to Babylon 5. I don't know how many times a week, especially when the episode came, and to catch all the information. I mean, this Lurker's Guide to Babylon 5 is still out there, but they go through there and they talk about the analyzing of the show and what JMS has wrote about from forums and such, people's questions and such. So we knew it was going
locally. I had an AM radio station, and every Friday night they would talk sci-fi for 2 hours.
Oh, is that hour 25?
Everything. It was everything. All sci-fi. So if you wanted to hear the rumors or the mills of what actor might be doing on what show and who might be guest appearing where, all that, I guess you can call it, rumor mill. Most of the time the rumors were right, but it was from a college station. Who would ever thought that they can get all this information? But back then I give them props. You used to be able to listen to that, and it would tell you things like I said, this wasn't a secret when she appeared on here that Paramount was not happy.
No.
And I frankly think she's the type of woman that really don't care. If her relationship with Paramount, if there was one after this, is mainly to protect Gene Roddenberry's memory and what he wanted, So I think Paramount did her and her son dirty. That's just my opinion. But I'm glad that she didn't hold back and say, when she's offered a role on another science fiction show, she went.
Right.
Well, let's also look at it this way. First and foremost, she was an actress. So her main concern is finding employment. And if another studio's sci-fi show offers her a role, she's not going to tell them no, because she's, the first lady of Star Trek. If she sees the role, reads the script, and likes what she reads, she's going to sign on.
I always wonder what happened to her son, because I know he was in production.
He still is. A lot of what we have for Star Trek today, we can help blame him for, because he okayed it all. He's part of that little thing. You can see his name in the credits for this new Trek garbage. So
whether it's Discovery or Picard, it's in there.
our Strange New Worlds or Lower Decks or any of that crap. And
just
he
trying to
signed
make
off.
me turn ill, aren't you, Darren? Just mention them things like wishing illness on someone.
I know, but the thing is he's involved doing all that, and
Yeah,
look
he
what we're
is.
getting. So I mean, maybe it was a good thing he wasn't involved. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think the shows you're talking.
Let's be honest. Just because a parent, well, in this case a father, creates something, doesn't
Mhm.
always translate that the son comes along and is going to do a great job like the father.
No,
Well,
and let's also look at it this way.
Yep. I mean, the only one I can think of that did
Roddenberry Jr.
anything.
never cared about Star Trek before
Mhm.
they offered him a contract for Discovery and Picard and
Mhm.
everything, just to sign his name and approve everything.
The
Right.
one that I would say, the only one I can say, father and son, that you really seen the son protect what the father did was Christopher Token.
Yeah.
And you seen what happened after he passes away. The family is pretty much willing to show us the money.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the same with the Dr. Seuss and so on. I mean, just they're like, show me the money, and just I don't care if you're going to do this, and I it doesn't matter. It's like, well, it should matter, but it doesn't. And unfortunately, like Phil just said, with Roddenberry or the son or whatever, like the children don't always turn out. Sometimes the parent is better of just with morals and so on than the kids, and these kids just like, oh, I don't care, and they
All
they
the kids
sell
are
it
seeing
and
is
that's it.
dollar signs. That's all
Mhm.
they're seeing.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Gene and his kid had a
They didn't have a good relationship.
Not at all. He was not very. They were. We might say they were not close. Let's put it that way. And Gene had, of course, he had two daughters from a previous his previous marriage. But Rod was his kid, who was born in '74. So yeah, I mean, he didn't. He Yeah, I don't think he gives a rat. He just wants to have the money, especially after when his dad died. He got screwed out of Lincoln Enterprises, and Major did both at the same time. So, I don't have much respect for Gene or Rod, I should say, Rod Roddenberry, because I can understand, but still, for other people, don't screw us all over, even though you've been involved in other projects back there. And
problem is, it's just that attitude of they don't care, and it's either the dollar sign or it's not important to them. And yet it should be, even if they're not interested in the material, it should be important enough to say, I'm going to protect this.
Right.
And this is my father's legacy. He should have protected it. He should have cared about it. But again, he doesn't care about it. If he did, we wouldn't be getting the current state of Star Trek that we're getting.
Which is why you have such a stranglehold on the B5 franchise as J. Michael Straczynski has. I mean, I hate to know what will happen when he goes. I don't think he has any children, just like Harlan didn't have any children when he went. So it's like, what's going to happen there? But I mean, he has, you don't play in my sandbox unless I specifically say so attitude, which he should.
Well, didn't
it's
he?
His baby.
It did come out like for years. Everybody wondering why we didn't get any new Babylon 5, and it come to find out there was one guy at the head company there that owned Babylon 5, or didn't run but owns the rights to releasing it. Decided there was one guy that just was holding it up.
Yeah, it had to do with something. It wasn't necessarily the fact they even really hated Babylon's 5 per se, but it was the whole P10 network. He did not like the whole Primetime Entertainment Network, which was, of course, Warner Brothers' attempt to do a fourth network, you might say. So any of those shows, Time Cop, I believe, was one of them. In Kung Fu: The Legend Continues, and of course, Babylon 5. They're all under. That's why you really don't see much of those things anywhere right now, still to this day. And then you still have stuff tied up with TNT when it comes around to like the last season of Babylon 5, but more importantly, Crusade, which is why he can't do anything with Crusade.
Interesting.
So things have had to happen there. I'm sure he wants to finish out that story somehow, one way or another, but He can't legally. He's been pastored for years. He said, "I have no intentions on doing it," which understandable if it's a legal thing.
And the Night Watch, like we see in this picture right here, just to add to the episode we've been talking about. They're just one dimensional. They're complex, and they really believe that what they're doing for the president is right, which we find out later it's not. But their convictions obviously are very strong, and I just love the whole interaction between him. I can't think of his name right now, and Zach.
Garibaldi?
No, the one.
Oh, this guy.
Yes, this guy.
Oh, the bad guy. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, and they're just. Their arrogance and their attitude, and it's funny, you watch shows like this, it's like, wow, so people are like this more now in real life. And it's not good to some extent, I should say, not everybody, but
because he was taking stuff out of history,
right.
J. Michael Straczynski. I mean, you can see the various different historical events that he brought together and mixed into this universe because whether we like it or not, history has a tendency to repeat itself.
Right. Well, that's why I hope, like Paul, for example, it's like, dude, you just got to stick with Babylon 5. Wait till you get to the Shadow War, man. Wait till you get to the whole thing with the Vorlons and the Shadow War. And oh, God, it's all kinds of crazy. Like, wait, so you're saying that this group may not be as bad as this one? That's not saying much, but still, it's
well,
crazy.
Yeah. What were we told by who, and should we really believe it? You're having like a little coup. Obviously, this is going to be a military coup that happens on board Babylon 5 because it's the military staff that's doing it. Nobody likes the military coup. Nobody.
Right.
And of course, and with the Night Watch, you have. I keep on trying to. Actually, I'm trying to say Night Corp, not Court, but it comes out that way. But it's Night Watch. But you have like this guy here, a true believer. You have Zach, who is sounds good and all that, but after a while you start feeling uneasy about it. And then of course you got the people that's doing the lip service just because they want to not be on the wrong side and get their butts kicked by somebody.
Yep, true.
And that's what you're looking at there. And you have that with any type of a regime that would be coming in using this, whether it's Soviet Union, North Korea, Cuba, all across the board, the Third Reich. It just I mean, even today, I mean, even within companies, I mean, the companies, it's basically they have their own form of warfare like that. So it's believable. It really is. And what's when Major coming over, giving this legitimacy, and that's one thing I suppose Paramount hated was it was giving the legitimacy because they wanted to think that they were the only game in town. We're the only science fiction you should care about. And unfortunately, many Star Trek fans feel that way or felt that way and still feel that way, by the way, as someone who was a big, Trekkie myself and involved with all that. And they seem to forget that famous picture of Gene Roddenberry and George Lucas shaking hands. Basically, like, one inspires the other. You mean to tell me that Star Trek should not be taken serious because, you had the Lensman series of books or the Foundation series of books? Does that mean we can't take Star Wars serious because we had Star Trek, and now we can't take this series because we have Star Trek? There's only one.
And let's not forget that J. Michael Straczynski went to Paramount pitching a new Star Trek series. Paramount rejected it, and then they took the idea and made it into DS9.
No, he came to them with Babylon 5 to pitch with it. And they said, no, we already got ourselves a science fiction show. And then mysteriously, Babylon 5 appeared. Back, I believe, in 2005 or so, J. Michael Straczynski came to Paramount with his attempt to reboot the Star Trek universe. And that's where he went to him and said, hey, I have an idea to bring Star Trek back. And he said, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. He can go away now.
Well, he did say that he had an opportunity to, and he felt he had the grounds and would have been successful in suing Paramount over the Deep Space Nine Babylon thing. The only thing he was told by, and I forget who owns Babylon 5 or was doing the distribution, was it Warner Brothers?
Yeah, Warner Brothers, P10 through Warner Brothers the distribution. Yes.
The Warner Brothers told him he can go that route, but they would tie him in court forever. Now, the only other person I ever known that was ever successful in a similar situation was Christopher Hayden when he did a pitch to the USA Network about a doctor show, and they said, no, we're fine, thank you. And then took his show, kept everything, it just changed the name. I told Cash many times this, and I can't think of the name of it. I'm not sure if it's Growing Pains or something like that.
You're talking about Alan Thicke?
Royal Pains.
Royal Pains.
Oh,
Thank
Royal
you.
Pains.
Royal
Oh, you're
Pains.
talking about Royal Pains. Okay.
And Christopher Hayden sued and won. And he won. And people want to know why there was a long gap in his acting career, because he got enough money from the lawsuit for that he didn't have to work for a while.
Yeah, that was Hayden Christensen.
Yep. But that is not unheard of. Someone going into these studios with an idea. The studio tells you no. They take it and decide we'll change the name of it and we'll claim it's ours. But yet you have to remember the difference between the guy who created Babylon 5 and Mr. Hayden. Hayden got lucky. He got lucky. But normally, let's just put it to you this way: they wouldn't have settled, they wouldn't have caved in, and more than likely would have kept him in court forever. But he managed to win. So, like I said, this gentleman unfortunately didn't, the other one, he won.
Yeah.
So J. Michael Straczynski was told not to go to.
Yep, he was told. They told him not to do it because he would be. They would be tied up in court forever.
All he had to do was unleash Harlan Ellison on him. That's all they needed to do, and he would have won.
But
and I can't forget too that he conceived, J. Michael Straczynski conceived the show back about 1988 or so, about the time when Next Generation came out.
But don't forget, there was even lawsuits when Star Wars came out. Paramount wasn't too happy with it. Star Wars hit it big, and then George Lucas went after the creators of Battlestar Galactica. There was 3 of them that George Lucas went after, and typically, and this I find out it was hilarious. Right before George Lucas dropped the lawsuit, the creators of in the States called Star Blazers, but known around the world as Space Battleship Yamato, said, we can sue you, because that Common Empire and that Death Star is quite similar, and ours was out there before yours. So some of the part of that deal why he dropped it was if he was going to sue these other sci-fis, the guys in Japan were going to sue him.
I think his biggest problem with Battlestar Galactica was that John Dykstra left him to go over there.
Glenn Larson, how many shows that man create? Bizarre. I can't say the Italian guy's name. Believe it or not, it's a shame. But he's
Delzario.
He done a lot. He done what was it? Tom Selleck's show that he had on TV.
Yeah, Magnum PI.
Magnum PI. He did
Airwolf.
He did JAG, and he's responsible for NCIS.
Yeah.
So
Bizarrius Productions.
I said, I mean, some of these people, they don't like competition.
And didn't he also do Quantum Leap?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, he did.
Don't people listen to me? I'm the president here. I'm President Clark. I got your lives here. I'm going to send Night Court. I'm going to keep on saying Night Court.
I do find it.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Paramount was going to go after Star Wars, and then George Lucas, not even a year later, after he got successful with Star Wars, was going to go after Battlestar Galactica, claiming they were stealing his idea. That's a total. Anybody ever watched Battlestar Galactica? The
Yeah.
original series,
Yeah.
not the
Yes.
remake. There's nothing
Yeah.
similar between them.
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's why I think it was. I think it's because he lost Dykstra to them, and then
Yeah,
Dykstra got his milk was sour
not
because
only
Glenn
that,
Larson.
he didn't only lose him, but he lost a couple people that were on the set creators, and they did some of the set and the models for Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
And
and
George
Ralph
wasn't a happy
McQuarrie.
camper.
Yeah, McQuarrie was doing artwork for him like he did with Star Wars. Yeah, and Dykstra got his milk soured because Glenn Larson basically stabbed him in the back. He offered Dykstra to come over under the condition that Dykstra would get a chance to direct. And yeah, that rug got yanked out of him. He left like midway through the series. That's why he had so many reused effects, because he left. It's like, okay, bye. See you later.
Oh, and the one guy you were talking bizarre, he also, I believe, did Knight Rider. And as soon as they canceled Battlestar Galactica and they recycled the production staff, they did Buck Rogers. And they did the same thing with Buck Rogers as they did to Battlestar Galactica. They gave them what they want. They did one season. Then the second season, they cut back all the money and the funds. So the second season wasn't as good. And then kaput, it's gone.
And
that was the case with Battlestar Galactica too.
And Gil Gerard got too much control behind the scenes too.
Good actor.
I know he's a good actor, but he's a bit of a prick. He really is. But yeah, Glenn Larson was one that did, of course, Battlestar, Buck Rogers, Knight Rider. Those were all his babies. Of course, he worked with Bizarro and stuff, so Bizarro was involved with Battlestar Galactica. But he did his own things too. And Glenn Larson had his name around Hollywood was called Glenn Larceny, because he was constantly accused of stealing other people's scripts and story ideas, to such a point that Jim Gardner, he punched him out on the set of Rockford File one time when he showed up, because he was pissed off that he thought Glenn Larson stole ideas or script ideas that he had for Rockford File for his own stuff.
Corporate espionage, especially for Hollywood, is a big thing, even today. And it isn't unheard of. Like, you might have a successful show. It didn't happen in Babylon's 5. Not saying about the actors or anything, but it isn't unheard of that another company, another studio, the lady that's playing Ivana, let's give her X amount of money to get her to come do this show. They were always doing that stuff, or you see somebody look like I don't know, the doctor there. I forget the name of the doctor. Well, if they can't get him, let's find an actor that looks similar to him. And and sometimes you're looking at, all right, I'll give you the example. You have the guy who played I'm trying to think his name. He was in Con Air, not the Irish guy that we all know that played in TNG, but the other guy who took his car. I can't think of that actor's name. But his look, and then you have the guy that played in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now they're two similar guys. They're not identical twins, but they kind of look alike. So when you're
talking about John Cryer and Matthew Broderick,
there you go. If when they have a movie and they send somebody out to do the cast, they'll send someone to one of them guys. All right. If one says no, they try to get the other one. They don't lose anything, because if they have an idea what the person looks like, then the actors are interchangeable. You can put them in any role the other one did, and they can do it.
Well, that's how Garibaldi came about.
Yep, price and everything.
Well, yeah, because when the show was conceived, J. Michael Straczynski conceived of having Bruce Willis play Garibaldi. But
I told Cash Money that.
Yeah, he did. But as it came along, the big problem was that Bruce Willis hits big success, and there's no way they could ever afford him for a show like that. You had Jerry Doyle, who actually did work on Moonlighting, and he was picked to be
He
replace
talked about
Bruce
that.
Willis
Yep.
when Bruce Willis was having his nose out of joint. So,
Yeah.
and I think they got a better guy off of that. But
Yeah.
as you can see, you got the very nice little happy ending here to the episode, if you want to call it that. Zach, they betray the Night Watch. They ship him off. Zach knows who his loyalty is. There he is taking that armband off after betraying Night Watch, tricking them. There they are. Mm-hmm. And who they replace him with, of course, the Narn. So, but
right.
even with all that, you have that heavy heart. What do we do? What would you do if you were someplace and you had to turn your back on your country? And this is what they're having to do. To protect my country, I must turn my back on my country.
Sometimes circumstances play a big role. Only thing I compare when this happens in Babylon 5 and they had to choose, it's similar to what happened to our military right before the Civil War. The military did not want to fight a civil war.
No.
That was a known fact. But everybody had to make their choice on what they were going to do. Are you going to fight for your country or are you going to fight for your state? People had to decide, Same thing happened in Babylon 5. They had to decide, are we going to just cave and do what we know is wrong? Sometimes you have to do something that might perceive you're breaking your oath, but by not breaking it, you're causing a greater evil.
Right.
So, yeah, I like how they did it and how they handled that in Babylon 5. As pretty historic to whenever you see a breakdown in any country, like for us, for our Civil War, that's what happened. In other places, it's similar happened.
Right.
Anytime you get to have to look at the War of the Roses over in England, same thing.
Even with revolutions, we rise up and take over.
And you have to understand, sometimes in the beginning, like in our revolution, we didn't have everybody here in what was the colonies all wanting to side and revolt against the British. We had the other half that wanted to stay. But as the war went on, the tide turned. Peoples that were normally probably pro-British ended up being pro-colonist.
Right.
And then at the end of the war, they gave people a choice. You want to stay, you stay. Nobody's going to say anything. But if you feel obligated, that you feel more to the crown, then you can go to Canada. We didn't stop anybody. We didn't have mass shootings. We didn't execute people. We gave people a choice. And a lot of people that were pro for the king ended up staying. They didn't all go to Canada.
Yeah, well, they went to Canada or the Bermuda or the Bahamas, all throughout the Caribbean. So, yeah.
But Babylon 5 and their way they did it was very similar circumstances, because you see Sheridan, he didn't really want to do it.
No, nobody did. There was no joy in what they were having to do. The weight was on their shoulder. And breaking off of Earth Force, I like this scene here when Vera got conked on the head. And here the consort is taking care of him, and Londo's going, no, don't waste what you're doing. He's just this flunky and all that. And it's like, no, the compassion that she has, which is where she then starts seeing the visions of the future. Any other thoughts about this pivotal episode of Babylon 5? Oh, how would you like to have been Zach walking into the room and seeing that?
I mean, don't you think you would have crapped yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, in a heartbeat.
For lack of a better term, you would have walked in there and gone, oh, no. Oh, great.
Yeah, brown trousers time. Of course, Jakar knowing Elena Ivanova knows that he knows that he knows that she knows that he knows that that there's something what and he wants to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Because
Any
he
other
even
thoughts?
tells that to Sheridan.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and probably one of the smartest moves they made. Any other thoughts about this very pivotal and important episode in Babylon 5?
Watch it. You got to watch it in order to understand what's going on, not just for this season, but for seasons to come.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the point of no return is an apt name for this episode because not only is it halfway through the season, this is halfway through the series.
Mm-hmm.
So once you go past this episode, that's it. There's no going back. And
I
just so you
love
know,
season 3 and all the episodes in season 3. But for me, the peak is season 4. But as much as I love I love all the shows on Babylon 5. For me, it's very hard with season 1. I know it's always season 1's always the builder, but for me, it wasn't just the acting. I knew there was something missing, but for me, it was they didn't look like they were investing a lot into the show. So you see season 2 and season 3, you can tell the cameras are better, the quality of the film is looking better, the stage is better, the props are better, and I forget how to say that guy's last name, but Mr. Scarecrow there, he was from Mr. Scarecrow, Mrs. King. When he came in here, the show definitely turned into a different direction.
Well, also think about it this way too, from the corporate heads at Warner Brothers. You're investing in this brand new show. You don't know if it's gonna last a couple episodes, let alone a full season. So you're only going to invest a certain amount of money into its production budget.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't like it's already an established franchise. They didn't question, production budget over there with going from TNG to Deep Space Nine. But to be honest, Warner Brother Television didn't really have much of anything going on that was, I would say, that great.
Heck, this show, Babylon 5, wasn't even filmed at the Warner Brothers studio lot. It was filmed in another area.
Yeah, it was filmed in a converted hot tub factory.
I would love to see more people in Hollywood actually take risks and say, if this fails, then, we might be hurting. But I really wish they wish they would take chances and stuff like Babylon 5. And just like what Mike said, you don't want to put all this money into it because you're just not sure it's going to succeed. I'm sure that's how, I don't even think when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other stuff that went on 7 seasons, however you feel about Big Bang, that got 13 seasons. It's just, you don't know what's going to happen. And then you have to find the right cast and you have to and they have to mesh well. And, that you can run into problems. And then you also have shows like Thief a number of years ago on FX where this has potential, but FX doesn't care about it. And that was way before Disney bought Fox, 20th Century Fox.
You also have to remember when especially a new, I guess you want to call it, station or whatever,
yes,
are starting. You need you don't need known actors, but when you select your lineup for your start off your season, especially new one, you got to be loyal to them. Fox, when they came out, you had, what was their big thing? They managed to get the NFC from what was it, CBS. That was a big coup. But if you notice, what shows did they have after that? They had a sci-fi show called Up Space, Above and Beyond. They invested money in that show. A lot of people didn't like it. I liked it, but they did invest from start to finish. They did invest a lot of money in that show.
Yeah.
Well,
And
think
that was
about it when Fox started. You know, they didn't know if Married with Children was going to be a success or not.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, Babylon 5 was an untested show on an untested fourth network. It was like B10 died before Babylon 5 was over with.
And I can see it, especially at this time. Showtime got into the sci-fi with Stargate SG-1. They carried them for 5 years, and then that was enough for them. And then that's when the Sci-Fi Channel picked them up. But even Showtime, they weren't known for carrying shows as an episode. They were mainly known as movies.
Right.
Kind of like your HBO. But they were willing to put the money out there because look left. Oh, Star Trek. There's like 3 or 4 science things there. Babylon 5. They seem to hit out of the park. So they came out with SG-1. Give them credit. That became a hit. 10 years. But some of these stations, I only think of sci-fi for Stargate SG-1 that they were a hit when they started. They were carried for 5 years by Showtime and still was a hit. It wasn't ratings. It was about Showtime said they couldn't afford the budget, but they were willing to let another station go and pick them up. And give it credit to Sci-Fi. They knew it was already a hit, and they picked them up. Where I run into issues with Sci-Fi, they only let it go for another 5 years. Granted, nowadays, 5 years is a long time for somebody to carry a show.
Yeah.
I thought, especially SG-1 could have went another 2 or 3 years, but
Yeah.
I mean, the only one I can think now in modern times that did it was Big Bang.
Yeah. Well,
look at Mike and Molly. That was a good show. It only went 4 seasons, and it wasn't because of ratings. It wasn't because they weren't making money off the,
it was mostly
commercials.
But the thing is, like, if you watch the show, like, the supporting cast is what was better to me than that show, and I actually went to a taping of that a few years back.
Well, when it comes around to Babylon 5, what I think we can sit back and say it helped usher in people being braver with bringing out more science fiction original.
But look where we are now, Baron. We're lacking that science fiction. Nobody's taking chances. Yeah, now we are. It's just dead. There's no Havens shows on like Sci-Fi. There's no. They're not trying anything really new, and if they are, it's just kind of. Sometimes it's based on a book. There's still some expansion or expansion. That's not what I'm thinking of. Expanse. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
The sad thing is when you look at today, whatever show or TV show movie that you saw in the 90s or early 2000s, that you would say, oh, well, that back then we would say that, well, this is crap. Okay. Now it's 2023. Them crappy shows are better, 10 times better than anything that we can see today.
Well, yeah, it is, and even like the animated film. I mean, we're kind of all over the place a little bit, but the animated film, which is fine. But the animated film, even IGN, how they can be biased and be ridiculous and stuff. Even they liked it. They gave it a 7 out of 10. So there's even people at IGN who appreciate stuff like Babylon 5. So I just find that interesting. I do.
Really, you want to look at it. Babylon 5 really did usher in all these shows that we had in the 90s, in the early 2000s, by showing that you can actually do this. You can do this on syndication. Obviously, Star Trek Next Generation was the first one. Babylon 5 changed how DS9 was going. You got to remember, they went 2 seasons before they started going to a story arc, and kind of mirrored Babylon 5. And there was influence back and forth. It's like, oh, we can do that too. And the fact that JMS was doing a book, from beginning to end with the series, unlike Star Trek, which was episodic. It's like, well, now we got to keep up with the Joneses, and that's what it was. It's still a good show. Don't get me wrong. But now you started having these shows that were coming out with
they had the competition.
Yeah, they did not. Yeah, it's like they didn't like the
right.
competition, but it wasn't competition. You could enjoy both. If they weren't put up against each other, you weren't competing. If you were lucky, like Mike, you had one and then the other the same night on the same channel.
You had I always thought there was enough pie for everybody. Because if you think about what this is 95, and you had Deep Space Nine, you had Babylon 5, and Stargate SG-1 came out at the same time, or nearly the same time. And they all were hit shows.
Now, like this next episode we have coming out here, Severed Dreams, that came out April 1st, 1996, on Apple Pro. So here we are at 96.
Is who was the corporation behind the shows. And when it came to Babylon 5 and Stargate SG-1, there were known stations, but they weren't big-time stations. Warner Brothers was just coming after Fox, trying to get whatever was left of the UHF channels to sign under them so they can become Warner Brothers TV. Fox did the same thing when they came out. They were the first. They went and they got every I can't even say it anymore. UHF. Okay. So that's where Fox got most of their stations from. SG-1 had a harder time because that was a pay cable channel. And not just like your basic cable, a main pay, and it wasn't a big one. It wasn't HBO. It wasn't Cinemax. It was Showtime. And that was a surprise because Showtime was not known for starting, syndicated TV shows like they did there. I don't even think.
Well, they had dabbled with it. They did dabble with it with Brothers and the Gary Shandling show.
Oh yeah, the Gary Shandling. I never practiced.
And Bizarre.
Show. Yeah.
But
so they did dabble in it, but that was a bigger thing where you having an hour-long drama, or in the case for the first episode of that movie, which was rated R, by the way, the first episode of SG-1.
But the only bad things between the competition between the studios, if you want to call them that, it wasn't like Warner Brothers was saying things or doing things against Showtime and their Stargate and Babylon 5. It was Paramount against everybody else.
Right.
They didn't like no competition. Believe it or not,
no.
They had there was people that were said if they caught actors that were not even, I want to say a recurring actor, but let's say you did a role on DS9. Then you got a call to go appear on Stargate SG-1. Well, if you did that, you're not coming back to Star Trek under any conditions. They didn't want you back. Where the other ones, they didn't care.
Well, they had the same problem with Babylon 5 because Robert Foxworth, who played, I believe that was his name, who played General Hagg in that one episode. Well, he was meant to return on Babylon 5, but never did because what happened? He went over to DS9 for their little 2-part episode, basically playing kind of the same type of character. And that was it. It's okay. Hagg's not coming back. So we're going to have somebody else play it. So he even had that with and like I said earlier, too, about how Pat Tallman was saying that, kind of had to keep quiet that you were doing both shows because, or you become persona non grata at Paramount, which is a shame. And we know that Gene didn't believe in that, and Lucas doesn't believe in that. That this J. Michael Straczynski even wrote a Star Trek comic before he did Babylon 5. So honestly, it's the world of science fiction is a big one, and we don't need to be pigeonholed to only one. Look what that's gotten us today.
Oh yes.
I mean, when it comes down to just okay, we have Star Wars and Star Trek, and that's it. And look what they become because of it. Yeah. Thank God that when J. Michael Straczynski came back and did his animated film, it was nothing like any of the other people did. It wasn't Memberberry City. It was important. Every character was important. There was a part to play. It wasn't bringing someone back just to bring somebody back, even though it was very tempting to do so.
Mhm.
That's why certain characters didn't come back in that movie. And that's the difference between good storytelling. And reason
I'll
why
give
we
them
have
credit for the animated Babylon 5 movie they did. That for those who passed away, the people
Yes.
that did the voice acting,
Mhm.
that voice actor who did Gibaldi, I couldn't tell the difference.
Mhm.
Yes.
I still say the best one is Frank Lamar doing Franklin.
Yeah,
Phil
Phil
Lamar,
Lamar.
sorry.
Phil Lamar.
Phil
yeah.
Lamar doing Franklin. See, I was
Yeah.
getting the names mixed up. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that was probably one of the best ones. Like, is that sounds like him? Wow, Richard Biggs.
Mhm.
So
Hopefully they come out with another animated movie, if not a live action.
no,
I
gotta be
would favor
something.
live action, but
Yeah.
I was surprised when being told that anything that they wanted to do with Babylon 5 was held up because of one individual
Yeah.
So
on the board
crazy.
of the company.
And they could have turned around and turned this into a huge giant thing for Warner Brothers.
Yes, they
because-
could, and Warner Brothers could use that right now.
Yeah, well, definitely. Any other thoughts on this
Yeah.
episode that we had? The point of no return. Now that we've gone to the point of no return of this episode of discussion of Babylon 5.
None for me.
Nope,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, we'll do one more here. Let's do just one more because we are about 1 minute 40 seconds into this podcast. So, Severed Dreams. So, what we had happen, of course, Night Watch got kicked off. Babylon 5 basically has made it known that they are going rogue. They are becoming their own autonomous nation, you might say. You have strife going on also with the Minbari, with the Grey Council, especially with the fact that the Grey Council is now out of whack. And so it's even ramping up even more. The name Severed Dreams is probably very apt for this. If you take a look, there's one of the Night Watch's posters being ripped apart back there, or having ripped apart, showing the sign that, we're not under your control no more. And of course, I love how they put the later stuff of the episode first on these pictures. But we do have a visit from an old friend, of course. We're having the war. We're starting to see the Earthborn ships battling Earthborn ships. They're coming for Babylon 5. And there's D-Day from Animal House.
Yep, and from my cousin. No. I'm thinking of my cousin Vinny. Right?
Yeah,
he's been a lot of
and
stuff.
he's also a future Starfleet temporal agent.
He's also the judge in Runaway Jury, if I remember correctly, as well.
Right.
Yeah, really good actor.
The actor Bruce
Yes.
McGill. Bruce McGill.
Yep.
I loved him in Animal House, which of course Stephen First was in. So I love that. I love that.
He had a small role in Secret of My Success too. It's just crazy where you find these people.
Yeah.
Great character actor.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's definitely, and he's filling in the footstep of General Hag in this one. Of course, because like I said, the actor walked away and went over the Deep Space Nine. So he's the one that delivers news that Hag has been killed in action, and he is kind of taking over for the time being, and going to Babylon 5 for resupply. Get away for a moment, try to survive. There's one of the Omega class ships going by right there. And there they are on board his ship on that. So now you got two factions having issues, the Minbari, and of course, needless to say, Earth in this. Delenn wants to support the Earth Alliance. The Warrior cast does not. They're still pissed off about how things ended with the Earth Minbari War.
Right.
And of course, they have basically sided the Great Council in their favor. Instead of having 3, 3, and 3, they have 4 on theirs. So the Great Council is basically broken because of that. In the working cast and religious cast.
Yep, it's broken, and and of course a number of Minbaris and the certain cast. I think that's what it's called. Um, yes,
Mhm.
that
Yep.
they don't like her also because she's more human than looking like she used to as Minbari. Because of
Right.
course, if we go back when she was in that cocoon and then what she turned into, people are still upset about that. That she
Yeah, she did.
basically ascended in a way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, she did it ahead of when she was supposed to have.
Right,
Like,
right.
it's not
When
that she did
right,
it, but
it's
when she did
right. When she did it, right, yes, and it broke their whatever code or their
it.
religion or yes,
Well, basically their plan, and they
yes,
felt kind of like, how dare you think yourself
yes,
smarter than us?
yep,
Meanwhile, she's the one that was the final vote to get Earth involved in the Earth Minbari War.
right, right.
So,
It's
and of
crazy.
course, she was kind of a favorite of Ducat, not to be confused
Yes,
with Ducat of
right,
Star Trek DS9.
right.
Was a favorite.
Definitely two different characters. Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
Just a
And
real quick thing. Notice,
yeah,
notice her helmet.
yeah.
Uh huh.
Notice what's on either side of her helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah,
you
Red
notice the
Star.
stars?
The
Mm-hmm.
star. Yeah.
Do
Yep.
you know what star that represents?
Isn't that like a Tsar star?
That's a Zara star. When
Mm-hmm.
after the communist Soviet Union fell, Russia went back. Normally, the communists had a yellow with a
Mm-hmm.
red star, but that's a Zara star. And
Yep.
the Russian Air Force was using that up until Putin came in power and he went back to the red star. But that was
Mm-hmm.
the Russian Air Force was using that at the time.
Right. Which
So
is
yeah,
apropos
that
being
is a
that she's
Zara
Russian.
star.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
From the Russian consortium. So yeah, why wouldn't she have that? She's proud of Russian.
I like that they did that for that character to show how proud she was to be Russian,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
hey, some of these things you don't really pick up until yeah. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Little details. Yep.
Definitely. So you got the Babylon 5 under threat of invasion, and it's happening. They're coming. At least four of the Omega class ships. You have Delin trying to get support so they can back
There's
them up.
there's Jackie Childs, of course. I'm trying to remember the actor's name. Phil. I can't think of his last name.
What him?
His first name. Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. That's
I think he
Phil.
was also played in a part in 24.
He might have.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
can't
he
he
was in
was
remember.
an
24.
agent in 24.
Nice. Yeah. Great show.
Mm-hmm. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I can't remember Phil.
Phil Morris.
Phil Morris. Thank you.
Phil
Yeah, I
Morris.
couldn't
Yep.
think of his last name. Yeah.
And not only that, we also have another guest star of someone who's somewhat of note, Rance Howard, playing Sheridan's father, who was also
Yes.
unfortunately he's
He's
passed
been
away.
in stuff. Yes. Right.
Yeah, and the father Ron and Clint Howard.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Happy Days. So we got
Yeah, because
Animal House.
Sheridan
We got
was.
Happy Days.
That's right. Sheridan was always worried about his father, obviously, but yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Was that also? Did that guy also do a guest star as a farmer on Seinfeld?
He may
Maybe
have.
not. He might
You
have.
talking about Rance Howard? I don't know. I don't know
Yes.
much about.
Yes. Okay.
I know so he's been in a lot of stuff, but I don't know what he's all.
Mhm.
He's been in X-Files and Talk Radio and Arrested Development because that was his kids show. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, so I mean he kind of when his kid when Ron had something he would get his dad and definitely his brother Clint involved. But yeah, so yeah, I mean this has got a pretty solid cast in here from Rance Howard, Bruce McGill, Phil Morris. I mean, really, it's just helping get that sense of brutalness of what's happening going on, and not pulling any punches. I mean, let's face it, this show is not highly budgeted, but what they were doing with this, boom, and of course, there was the love unrequited guy, and it's like, oh, and their guy wanted Ivanova and couldn't get.
Yeah.
But now we're facing what's all going on with it, and now, of course, he uses the Great Machine, something that they were keeping hidden from everybody until now, and that's for him to be able to do his little hologram to send a message to everybody on board, so they know what's going on, to keep them informed, to give them a heads up. This is what we're looking at.
Yeah, because if they use their comm system, then the Earth Alliance would know, and everyone else at Earth would know.
Right.
And
yeah, you don't know who to trust, of course. So.
Right.
Well, you can trust that guy standing in the front there in the green uniform. There's Rob Halford from Judas Priest. When I saw that was, I mean, not the image there when I first saw this episode. That was the first thing I said. Rob Halford was there. Looks just like Rob Halford.
I think he would make an appearance again in the season 4. Well, official.
You see him again,
episode.
but he's an actor, but he's one of you would call one of them background actors, not somebody that's going to talk or do any acting. Just you see him in the background.
Right, he's a background guy, but he gets a little bit more of a significant role in Deconstruction of Falling Stars. Yep.
And I do like the image of they're using in the background behind Sheridan of World War II bombers and everything. A throwback to back in the day.
Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely just like you had others that were throwing little nods here and there throughout their works, whether it be Lucas or even Roddenberry. J. Michael Straczynski was not going to hide it. It's like, these are here for a reason. This is supposed to hearken something for you to get that sense of what's going on. The sense that, we are now, instead of a world war, going into a galactic war. And it's hitting the fan, and it's do or die time. And, if you don't want to be around, you can leave. No problem. We won't hold anything against you. You can go, but, just to let you know, you can stay, but it's not going to be an easy road to hoe. Did I say that right? Wow. I brought it to an end here. It's like crickets. It's like, oh, great. Baron's talking again. But you actually do get the station invaded in this, but the Narn, not listening to Garibaldi, mind you, do a noble effort of defending the station against the incoming Earth Alliance. They do have a sense of loyalty to Sinclair. Sheridan, I should say. My apologies, because of how he has treated the Narn people, how he gave amnesty, and there's Rance Howard, little Mr. Howard. The discussion back and forth, but he did give support to Jakar and the Narn people, and of course the Narn battle cruiser and the season 2 finale. So they know that Sheridan's good people. Here, of course, we have Delenn herself basically breaking the Great Council,
right,
and making no bones about it. I mean, everyone wants to talk about how they're afraid of Ivanova. In some ways, Delenn is a lot more frightening.
Yeah, because she comes off as being this warm, welcoming, friendly individual, but when you get on her bad side, you don't want to mess with her.
No.
Oh no! I mean, right, even from the pilot movie, when she almost basically busts Jakar's lungs by using that device to heighten the gravity where he's standing, and saying, "Don't you ever say anything about the Great Council around me again." You get it? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's back to nice, peaceful Delenn. Simple, plain simple Delenn.
But she's not Cardassian.
No,
my dear Darren.
Yeah, I have a sneaky feeling the Kardashians would have their butts handed to them with the Minbari. I just kind of get that
there's.
feeling. But you can right there see that, what are we doing? What are we doing? Is this worth it? Is this worth it? And
that's when Franklin's thinking about, oh, is it almost time for my walkabout? No, not yet.
yeah, be nice. Hey,
You're never going to let the walkabout go, are you?
He's never going to let that walkabout go, and neither are you, Phil.
Oh well, I have to
one
agree.
of my
I'm not
favorite
against the walkabout, but when you're on a space station,
it just went on too long. I'm not
years
against
to
it.
figure out how to walk around the whole thing, man. One walk around, that's it. Done.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get to that in this season.
Well, think about all the nooks and crannies that station has. I mean, you could get yourself lost on that station for years.
Yeah, I know, but it's just that whole walkabout thing is just so dragged out with the drugs and so on.
We'll fight about that when it comes around.
Yes,
folks, there's going to be a walkabout, just in case you didn't know, and I'll let Phil and I'll let Cash just vent about the walkabout, Mike.
Hey,
not the worst
thing. And even watch these episodes with Cash Money.
No, I'm gonna keep quiet on it because it doesn't really bother me like it bothers Phil and Cash.
It's not my favorite.
No, Cash Money wasn't too happy with all these redheads on this show.
Oh, sure, right.
There's an awful lot of redheads on the show. That's all I have to say.
But we've been eliminating redheads, which to me is horrible. You can't eliminate redheads. They're
no.
It's not good. It's not good.
Of course, here's the moment, one of the moments here on Earth where ISN is basically being taken over by the government as become an official arm of the government, quote unquote, news.
Yep.
Basically that when you see that newscaster is somebody coming on there out of nowhere, who's part of the staff saying, "Hey, it's hitting the fan now." It's like we start watching something like that. It's like, okay, what are we going to do at home, folks? And then everything goes static.
Hey, you want to know something? At first, when I saw that guy, I thought he was John Moshida Jr., better known as the Micro Machine guy.
Like him.
Yeah, it does. Or a very young Mean Gene Okerlund.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I will point out in the future when this is all said and done and a regular anchors come back, the guy, you never find out what happens to him. He doesn't come back.
No,
it's only the lady. She's the only one that comes back. You have to wonder what happened to him.
Mm-hmm. And that actor, by the way, is Matt Gottlieb, who played that part in there, and he was also in the Orville as one of the as Supreme Chancellor Corwin. So he even made the trip over to the Orville, Desperate Housewives, CSI, Without a Trace, of course, JAG, NYPD Blue, Wings, ER. So he's been in a lot of stuff himself, as well as, of course, Babylon 5. So, in and out of makeup. I just let you know who that gentleman is. But yeah, he either looks like a young Mean Gene or, like you said, the Micro Machine guy. I think I got a mental block on that guy's name.
John Moshida Jr.
John Moshida Jr., yeah. And even his, when they had answer machines, even the answer machine was that way. Someone played his answer machine for me when I was going through broadcasting school, and it was just hysterical. It's just hysterical. It's like, you just come to...
Yeah.
So, it's kind of funny. You've seen behind the scenes of a show on a show.
Yeah.
But no, now ISN is basically going dark because of what's going on. They're being attacked by Earth Force. Jakar is being brought into the fold, and Delenn comes. Oh, and there's one of the pilots of the new Star Furies as they're doing the bombing on Mars. Notice how they made sure it was nice and dark helmet. Again, that faceless fear, just like Judge Dredd wearing the helmet, being that faceless image of the quote unquote justice of the future, amongst others. I mean, it's again, it's these little takes you have on there that really drives home what's going on here. We don't know who's behind it, but he's just following orders. Does he like what he's doing? Is he repulsed by doing it? Does he not care? We don't know.
No, we're not told.
Mm-hmm. It's all up for speculation. It's not being told. We're not being hand-fed it. We're not being told, this is how you should feel about it. Again, it's something where you sit back and go, ooh, it unnerves you because you don't know. Who is that person? Just a small little character. And they're doing so much damage to innocence. You don't know what to make of it, especially when these are supposed to be your people. Right, Michael?
And that's how it should be. We don't, as an audience, we don't need to know every single detail. There are certain things that need to be left a mystery.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, we have to have that. Because off of that, that's where even more myths come off of in legends. People become tall tales. In a sense, that's exactly what's happening here with the people on Babylon 5. They're becoming tall, these heroes, and there's these tall tales and such that are coming out of it. Sheridan stood 10 foot tall and carried a giant bat and beat Clark to death or whatever it is, like he had in the Old West.
I can't wait. That was the range. I can't wait when they get their new uniforms. I never was a fan of their original Babylon 5 uniforms, but when they declare independence and Delenn gives them new uniforms, they're awesome.
And that's the Ranger who, by the way, gives Delenn the bad news about the council at home, which sends her back to Minbar and basically saves the day for Sheridan and the crew of Babylon 5. Basically, they fight off Earth Force. Some ships are destroyed. Marines come on board. The Narn take them out. And then
Delenn shows up with the White Star and says that Babylon 5 is under their protection.
That that we only lost one ship to one man, and I'm behind that man, in a nutshell. So it's like, yeah, that's kind of powerful right there. What they're sending for a signal to those loyalists, quote unquote, of Earth. Geez, D-Day. If only we had John Belushi on there with him. Happy, and then of course, welcome to the new security ambassador.
What do you mean my card's not reading?
Okay, I think we're going to end with this episode. Any final thoughts about this? Severed Dreams, which basically it is. Basically, this is kind of the middle-ish ground of a trilogy of episodes. We'll pick up with the last one on the next episode, Ceremonies of Light and Dark, which will make our Phil happy because of what he was saying earlier. Any other thoughts on what we were presented up to this point?
This really kicks off what we're going to see for the rest of the season.
Yep. And a strong leader. It may sound stupid, but a good leader and cares about the people that is helping him on the ship. And Sheridan is just, he's going to do what it takes. And if he probably thinks even in his mind that if he dies, it's not going to matter as long as he's protecting the people on Babylon 5 who actually matter. That's just my guess.
Right. Well, yeah, because they're basically family. I mean, and that's on even the Offset. These the only person they really seem to have had a problem with besides the guy who played Kiefer in the second season was of course Michael O'Hare, but of course that was because of his mental illness he was suffering from. Sadly, other than that, the rest of the cast was very tight, and still is today. Some people who survived. And so I think that helped make that, make Sheridan, Bruce Boxleitner bring that out of his character that, we're fighting for family here. We're not only fighting for what's right, but we're fighting for each other. If we don't have each other, then what are we doing? Why does it matter? And really, in many ways, Straczynski does a better job of this than Star Trek. It does. Why? Because it's a different universe.
He's not restricted by the rules of the Star Trek universe.
Sometimes having your own, creating your own, gives you a lot more freedom than it is to stepping in there with somebody else's creation, and you have to stay in your lane.
Right.
You know,
but they don't even do that.
That goes for any other franchise. You know, I'm always, and why I always did like Babylon 5 and some of the other ones, you know, 80s, 90s didn't get a lot of remakes. And I was thankful for it. You know, and when I mean remakes, I'll stick into the genre sci-fi. You know, that was the beauty of it. And for this show, I think season 3 brought this up to a bar. But I will say season 4 is probably the best. And but you need to see season 3 to really understand season 4. You know,
right?
Yeah, it's a season 3. You can't skip an episode, in my opinion. You know, I know some people say there's a lot of filler, but some ways, most of them somehow, some way tie into the next. That's one thing I liked. You know, art that's lost in today's. I don't know if you can call it television. What do you want to call it?
Television, streaming.
Yeah, whatever you call it. Episode shows, whatever. Yeah.
Well,
important to tie. You don't have to have it the whole episode tie into another episode, but you can have small bits and pieces that what you see in one episode have an effect in the other episode.
Well, that's why Babylon 5 was serialized. Because one episode did essentially lead to another episode. Yes, there were some filler episodes. I'm not going to say there weren't.
Yeah. And not going to say that they're bad. They help flesh out the universe, which is just as important on that. But it's like you say, it's its own creature. And now you have people taking over other franchises, and they're warping it into what they want to have instead of the universe. No, they don't care about the constraints of what was in those universes. We've seen that with Disney Wars and New Trek. And it takes someone who wrote every episode this season. Straczynski wrote every single episode this season and the next season. He wrote the majority of the season beforehand. And that's how he was able to keep this cohesive like that, especially when you got into the nitty gritty of what was all happening. Any other thoughts, gentlemen?
No.
Hopefully
we wouldn't have to take so long to come back again.
No. Well, yeah, that's stuff. Hopefully next week we'll be back here. Yeah, unfortunately, not just me, but a few other people were having some issues too that caused that caused delay. So we do have plans for next week that we continue this on. The next episode will be Ceremonies of Light and Darkness, or Light and Dark, I should mean. So, which kind of helps tie up these episodes that we had there. Before I go on further, gentlemen, anything to announce? Say people that cuss out before we end this broadcast.
Well, tomorrow on the Pacific 4 and 4 channel will be the Sunday edition of Pacific 4 and 4 Pop Talk, and of course it will be with myself. It'll also include our current president here on the Babylon 5 stream, Baron Orman Tagge, and also Chin Carr.
If he's awake.
Mike just loves to be able to do
I'm
that.
Always awake.
You say that all the time, Cash.
I'm always awake.
Uh-huh.
But I'm somewhere.
He's looking at his clock going, I got to get down to Fullerton. Come on, guys, hurry up. I got to get to Fullerton.
I gotta check on those deals, man. I gotta check. Those police are looking the other way.
Fun topics to talk about. One of the topics is actually the Associated Press taking a look at the Kiss story. 50 years of Kiss.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Phil, you going to be there for that?
Oh boy, 50 years of Kiss. Can we? You can forget
Dude.
everything after 2000. You know.
What I learned about Gene Simmons and how he felt when I was watching the Celebrity Apprentice. What was this by? This would probably be 7-8 years ago, somewhere around there. I don't know. It's been a while. Obviously, it's crazy how long The Apprentice was on. It went on for a while, of course, but it's just crazy how long that. It's definitely before 2016, but Gene Simmons. How can I always forget? Well, Kodak doesn't know what they're talking about, dude. Seriously. You guys have to go and find that clip. And I says, why is this Gene
I
Simmons
remember
guy?
that because I seen that. And Kodak, well, you have to remember he's kind of right. Where's Kodak today?
Yeah. Well, today, but
Non-existent.
it was just weird, man. It
No,
was like, dude,
let's just say this since you brought it up.
yeah.
Gene Simmons, not all the time does he guess good or does good as a businessman, but he is a businessman, believe it or not. Not just a musician, he's a businessman. But not all his business and business ideas work. But when he was talking about Kodak, yeah, at that time, that was Kodak was big. That was when film camera, even your printers. Kodak was big.
Yeah.
Kodak, for that company to totally disappear like it did, he was right on the money.
It's crazy, but at the time he wasn't, and now what's happened lately? Yeah, I mean, it's just that he made a bad call. So at the time,
anything else, Mike? You have to share with us?
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Just that I'm gonna be doing a RoboCop stream at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Then, of course, the Wednesday edition of Pop Talk at 6 p.m. Eastern also. And then Thursday, I will be joining Netter's Network for her Thursday things as a special guest.
Yay!
Oh, nice.
Congratulations.
Good. All right.
Okay. Mr. Monet of the Fandom Hooligans.
Of the Hooligans, yes. Well, yesterday was a lot of fun, so there still may be something else going on this weekend. We'll see. But I'm still working on stuff. I haven't done part 3 yet of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, but it will come. So.
Okay. Any other exciting news you have to give us?
Yeah, just still working on some other recordings and stuff of articles and so on. I have some things I want to say about some pinheads. Just haven't said it yet.
What about Friday?
Oh, well, of course, Friday, but we're going to play Darktide around the same time, so for a few hours. Yeah, that should be fun. Well, hopefully Game Pass will be good because today it's been a mess, so I don't know. Maybe Phil Spencer fell in something. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe they had the wrong kind of adult. Maybe they were playing sex with Hitler. I don't know. Or he.
God.
Anyways,
thank you for reminding me. Tell everybody, Cash. Tell everybody. It's
tell
not
everybody
just one game. It's now a series.
Oh God, yes. No, that's we're not going there. Anyway,
we're not going there.
We're not going there. No.
Yeah, we're not going there, folks.
No, we're not going there.
Let's keep it to Babylon 5.
But really, no. Game Pass is a dumpster fire again, and they need to fix their shit. But yeah, we'll see what happens, Baron. But Darktide should be a lot of fun. We haven't played that, so we'll see what happens. At some point, we may even want to get a Among Us stream going because none of us have played the newest map, and that's the one where we're not on a space station. I was like, oh, I kind of like this. So we'll see.
Okay. And Mr. McCracken, everyone's favorite troll, the best troll out there.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there will ever will be. Yeah.
Bret Hart. Bret Hart.
But a couple things. First, sometime this weekend, I don't know when, some how can I put it nicely? Some fool is supposed to let me know when we're supposed to play Mythforce. Supposed to live stream it. It could happen, and then again, it could be another 4 weeks before it happens. So there's a possibility there. Won't mention any names, Cash Money, but okay, there. That's one.
I don't know what you're talking about, Phil. But
There you go.
go
Yeah,
on.
you don't ever
Yes.
know what I'm talking
We're
about.
talking. I don't know what you're talking about, but we're talking about your channel. So
Oh yeah,
so go
I
ahead.
am. But you told me last night. See, look, this is what happens. He told me last night I can
I don't
co-stream
remember
it. You
anything.
told
I
me I could
misremember.
co-stream
Okay.
it, right?
Okay, go to marriage counselor
Anyways,
another time,
yes,
you two.
Nah,
stop.
there
No.
wouldn't be. This ain't would be a good marriage. No way. But yeah.
Creepy. Just continue, man.
I'm trying to get my health back. I do have something coming down the pipeline. I'm going to be interviewing somebody. I'm going to leave it as a surprise.
Sweet.
It's going to be a surprise. You probably know this gentleman. Some of you might, others might not. But he does mainly gaming streams, and good friend of mine. So I'm going to try to get him in there before the end of the month when I can actually sit down and do some live streaming. Probably taking the Sunday and Monday off because I have a birthday coming, and I'm going to celebrate my birthday with my family. Maybe go see what's his name? Godzilla. Might not. Don't know. Depends on the situation.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, if you do, you'll make Krit happy for sure. So.
That's my whole goal in life, to make Krit happy. Just so you know, that's my whole goal. But yeah. And of course, my job to, go into the Pop Talk channel and spread my love and support.
Yeah. The way
because I love you all.
Can. Yes.
That's my new saying for the year. I love you all.
Yeah, okay.
We don't trust you.
Nope.
That's okay. You don't have to trust me. You don't have to believe me. But it's a good catch, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Something different.
Check those knives. Check those knives, Baron. Check those knives.
I'm checking them.
But I really do hope that I can get this Mythforce stream with this individual. But I'm waiting on him. One night it's always going to happen, and the next thing I know, I'm all night waiting up and nothing. So
yeah.
Cash Money's like he's like the road runner, and I seem to be like the Wile E. Coyote.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Wherever that went. Anyways, go ahead, Baron.
Yeah, and I want to thank those that were in the chat here. We do have the lovely Leah Rose, who is the president and sole member of the Phil McCracken fan club.
She's not a common chick.
We have Brandon Looney Tunes fan 2000 who stopped by, as well as Lord Krit, who is unfortunately having internet issues. Hopefully he'll be able to join us next time. DJ Ronnie G and his Turtles, his Turtle Rangers. Jace
Turtle
Fox
Rangers.
from 540 Studios.
Yep.
And of course, the old man came in. So thank you all for being here. And we're aiming for next week to have the next episode of discussion on Babylon 5, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, 8 Eastern Standard Time. And for you guys in Mountain Pacific, figure it out. You're smarter than me. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope everyone has a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever it is you are. Thank you, one and all.